Let's take a closer look at burnout. I was asked a question recently about how NLP can help with burnout, and absolutely it can. First, let's take a look at what burnout is, and then let's start to talk about how NLP can help. First and foremost, burnout is ultimately when we are doing too much, including ourselves in too many things, trying to get everything done and not giving ourselves a break. If this happens for too long, our system begins to shut down. Neurologically, emotionally, physically, we start to break down. We need to stop at some point in time. Very recently, I was working with a client and she told me that she's barely getting any sleep. She's barely making ends meet. And she is absolutely at the end of her rope. I asked her what was going on. And she said, I have so many projects and I have 2 kids and my husband is demanding and what he needs and what my needs are. And I can't do it all. I'm not getting enough sleep. And I said, okay, so what can give? And she said, nothing. Absolutely nothing can give because it all has to get done. Have you ever felt like that? It all has to get done. Sure, maybe it does all have to get done, but does it all have to get done at the same time? When we reach that point of complete saturation, I don't know about you, but for me, I get into an emotional state where I feel a little bit out of control. I feel like my emotions are on a roller coaster. And I also feel like I am unable to stop. And when I finally do stop, there's the emotions of guilt and I should keep going. And why is it so hard? But finally, usually my body, perhaps yours, but a lot of people's, our body gets involved and says, okay, you got to stop. And either major anxiety, depressions, a cold will come on, a neck ache, a backache, some sort of ailment will pop in, headaches, all kinds of stuff will happen. And it's almost the universe's way of going, you need to stop. You need to stop. Sometimes I remember a couple months ago when I was just on too much, my computer shut down and I couldn't get it to turn back on the whole day. I have no idea what was wrong with it. It turned on the next day, but it was almost like the universe's way of going, Heidi, you got to stop. If you don't stop, we're going to make you stop. Now, the computer one is just kind of funny, but most of the time it's more health related stuff, headaches, neck aches, that kind of stuff, colds, flus. And it just makes us stop if we do. If you are prone to doing too much, working too much, then there's a really good chance that you've got some other unconscious patterns in there that are upholding that pattern. It might be a pattern of all or nothing. There might be a need for perfection, a need to be in control, possibly people pleasing and needing to get things right for other people, looking at towards external expectations about things. Now, all of these programs, we call those meta programs. All of these programs within us are not bad in isolation. They're not bad in general or even combined. But when we lean towards too much of need for control or too much got to get it right or got to do too much or over responsible, then we might have a problem. Oversaturation, overdoing anything, as they say, everything in moderation. So how NLP can help with burnout is interesting. We have oftentimes parts inside of us, a part that knows we should slow down, but a part that just has to keep going. And so when we can communicate with both of those parts, we actually will find most likely that both of those parts have the same intention for us. And at some point in time, those parts split apart and kind of create almost 2 different versions of us. So reintegrating those parts is probably the first key to being able to move back a little bit from burnout. Because when we are whole, when we have that wholeness available to us, then we can actually make better choices. We can make more sane choices to relax, to look forward to something, to exercise, to sleep, to provide ourselves with self-care. Because if we don't provide ourselves with self-care, we can't get it. And other people caring for us isn't the same as self-care. Being able to recognize those patterns, if it's that all or nothing, or the fear of failure, need for control, external validation, all of those elements, and really starting to investigate, where do they come from? Are there deeper patterns or beliefs that go in there? Is doing too much, burning the candle at both ends? Is it a part of a belief that that's how you prove worth? Because if it is, then we can utilize some of our NLP tools that deal with a timeline, unconscious pattern change, re-imprinting, change personal history, drop down through, tunneling, these kind of processes that will help us to be able to clear that pattern about self-worth or belonging or being good enough. Because oftentimes that's how we get burnt out, is that we're trying to unconsciously prove something. It's usually not that I've got a to-do list that's as long as my arm and then some, because I always have a to-do list and you always have a to-do list. I mean, when was the last time you truly got to the end of your to-do list? Probably never, because there's always more to put on your to-do list, regardless if it's from home or for work or whatever. Hopefully play is that long too. Being aware that mindfulness is key. Without the awareness, we can't do anything. We can't make a change. We can't look after ourselves. We can't even recognize that we're at that point of burnout or near burnout until it gets too late. So having that moment for yourself, being able to check in and go, what's happening now? That also, it gives you just that chance to make a choice, because it's all about choice. So my friends, burnout at the end of the day is a choice. And we can choose to either keep going, walking that fine line and then slipping off that slippery slope, or we can make the choice to be more kind to ourselves, give ourselves time, give ourselves grace, give ourselves pause, and be realistic with ourselves. At first, there's probably going to be a little bit of guilt or a little bit of, oh, can I do that? And what's this going to do for me? So again, if it's tripping into other patterns like my worth or anything like that, let's work on that. Let's figure out how you can be whole, how you know that you have self-trust, self-worth, self-esteem without having to do as much. Be aware, be kind to yourself. And if you've got more questions, please let me know. Be sure to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.